It's 10 p.m. here in Accra. I am Keminni Amanor, and this is Ghana Tonight. Let's take a look at our top stories this hour. Tonight, 4 people, including an infant, die on the Tamale Highway. We've got all the details you need to know about this rather tragic incident. Also tonight, the NPP makes conditions for the rerun of the Council of State elections in the Ashanti region. Tonight, we keep an eye on events leading to the rerun of the vote in 2 days. Nurses and midwives threaten industrial action tonight. I'll tell you why if you stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. Well, if you're staying with us here, remember, you can be a part of the program, not only by watching us, but also interacting with us as we stream on Facebook, YouTube, and 3news.com. If you'd like to interact, though, use the hashtag Ghana Tonight. Let's now bring you a summary of the night's biggest stories in Ghana Brief.
Security agencies in Walewale in the northeast region have confirmed the death of 4 people following a violent gun attack on a commercial bus on the Walewale-Tamale Highway. According to the security agencies, the bus was traveling from Widana in the Pusiga district of the Upper East region to Kumasi in the Ashanti region when it was attacked by gunmen and set ablaze near Kukua Luagri. The minority leaders urged government to expedite the nomination of the remaining 4 deputy ministers, warning against last-minute delays in the vetting process. He noted the delay is causing anxiety within the majority caucus. In response, Majority Leader Mahama Yaroga explained that deputy ministerial appointments require consultations with substantive ministers, which takes time.
Article 79 of the Constitution says the President may, in consultation with a Minister of State and with the prior approval of Parliament, appoint 1 or more deputy ministers. So the appointment of a deputy minister has to be done in consultation with the substantive minister. So the nominations for deputy ministers cannot come at the same speed that those of the substantive ministers came. So take your time. The President is consulting his ministers, and after the consultation, he will bring you the names.
The NPP Ashanti caucus in Parliament is demanding a change in the venue for the rerun of the Council of State elections in the region, following violent disruptions during the initial poll. Speaking on behalf of the group, Asante Mampo MP Kwekwa Prachum Sapo insisted that the rerun be held at the Central Police Station.
The Ashanti caucus is outraged by the decision to hold the Ashanti regional representative to the Council of State election at a venue already tainted by chaos and lawlessness. We refuse to allow the democratic process in our region to be compromised any further. We have officially dispatched a letter to the Electoral Commission demanding an immediate change of the venue to the Central Police Station. The first one that took place was held at the Regional Coordinating Council, and you are all aware of the chaos.
The Civil and Local Government Staff Association has suspended its planned nationwide strike following President Mahama's decision to withdraw the appointment of Samuel Butche as the Director of the Birth and Death Registry. Isaac Bampawado is Executive Secretary of CLOCSAG.
After our statement, we've had various discussions with the presidency, and they assured us that the appointment was going to be withdrawn. So we appreciate the president for this his 24-hour response to our demand. I want to assure him that we'll collaborate with him in resetting the civil service.
The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association has issued a notice of a nationwide strike if the government proceeds with its decision to sack recruits into the public sector. According to the leadership of the association, the directive will affect over 5,000 nurses and midwives in the public service and could have a negative impact on healthcare delivery.
We think that it is unfair and that should not happen, and therefore we are calling on the government, on our mother ministry, which is the Ministry of Health, and on the largest agency within the health service, which is the Ghana Health Service, to please rescind their decisions in relation to our nurses and midwives, because we need them there. The services they are providing is essential, and this is not the time for us to be suspending people.
Programs manager of the Ghana AIDS Network and STI Control Program, Dr. Stephen Ado, is urging the public to check their HIV status. He further encouraged the sexually active population to help stop the spread of HIV by protecting themselves.
Whilst we are celebrating love, we should do it in a very safe manner. We want to send out the message to the people of Ghana that your health is our concern. We need you to be in good health and continue to love, because through good love and genuine love, our health well-being is enhanced, our mental health is enhanced, and the development of the country is assured.
Well, Ghana Brief there for you. Let's now get into tonight's business. Infant and 3 adults killed in gun and arson attacks in Wale Wale. That's devastating story coming up next. Oh, you might want to take a seat for this one. 4 people have been killed after gunmen opened fire on a bus traveling on the Wale Wale Tamale Highway, according to security agencies in Wale Wale, the northeast region, who confirmed the tragic incident. The deceased victims include an infant. The bus was traveling from Wedana in the Pusiga district of the Upper East region to Kumasi in the Ashanti region when it was attacked by the gunmen and set ablaze near Kukwa Logri. Well, that's how disturbing it is, and those pictures we couldn't show you, but you get a sense of what the accident was like, or the incident that took place. Let's touch base with Castro Senyala, our Upper East Region correspondent who's been following the story keenly. Castro, good evening. Let's talk about this Wale Wale incident and what else you have picked up from our security agencies. What do we know?
Right. Good evening, Keminni. It's really a disturbing incident, and it happened earlier today in the morning when we got information that a bus which had broken down in the Kukwa Logri area within the Wale Wale enclave came under the attack of gunmen who went to the place, opened fire sporadically, and then poured petrol, which they carried to the place all over the bus before they set ablaze. From what we gathered from the security agencies, we understand that when they got there and they started shooting sporadically, the people began to flee into nearby bushes. And so it happened that 3 people could not run away, including the child, 4. And so these people were trapped in the bus, and when they set the blaze, they could not come out and eventually died as the bus burnt to ashes. We understand that security agencies were able to gain control of the area and quickly remobilized those who ran into to take a refuge in the bushes and were escorted to a safe place. We also understand that the remains of the people who have been burnt were transported to that of the Wale Wale hospital, where an autopsy is supposed to take place, and then identification of the bodies is carried out.
Castro, indeed, I have so many questions, but let's start off with, some basic ones. We see that this is a really long passenger bus. How many people were in the bus at the time of the attack? What are our police sources saying?
The police sources said that they can't place a figure on how many people were in the bus, but the understanding is that the bus took up to 60 people. And so when it broke down, there was a likelihood of some people joining other buses to leave. But the understanding is that we had more than 50 people on that bus. And also, Keminni, to interest to know that according to the security agencies that we've been speaking with, most of the occupants of this bus were Burkinabés who had crossed into the Pusika area and joined the bus and were going towards Kumasi. We haven't been able to go into the substance of what they were going there to do or how they even got into the country. But from preliminary investigations by the security agencies, the understanding is that most of those in the bus were in fact from Burkinabe and were proceeding to Kumasi with other passengers who are from Ghana.
I see that opens a whole different conversation. But let's take it step by step, right? These 3 adults and the infant who were trapped in the bus subsequently, bent alive, so to speak. What do we know about them? Have our police sources been able to identify these people yet?
Not at all. The police sources, and in fact the military by extension, who were at the place to ensure that everything was, everything went well, and to scare off or try to apprehend the attackers, said that, look, they have not been able to identify anybody as far as where they are coming from is concerned, because they had been burnt to ashes, except that if you look at the charred bodies, you could tell this is a man and this is a woman. So what happened was that, moving as a bus, definitely there were people in there who knew each other. And so the security agency started interrogating these people. And to the amazement of the security agencies, these people could not even speak any of the Ghanaian languages. And that painted a picture that they were indeed from Burkina Faso. But they were able to get people close by who were able to make them understand the fact that the security agencies were trying to find where they were coming from, find out where they were coming from and possibly help them. But as to whether they have been able to identify where they are coming from, that is, their personal details or particulars, that is something that the security agencies are yet to tell me.
Is it the suspicion of the police that the guardian or parent of the infant is among the 3 adults who also perished?
Oh, yes, Keminni, and that is the saddest part of it. I got the understanding that the woman was weeping uncontrollably. She, in fact, was among the passengers in the bus, and from police description, when the gunmen started shooting, everybody started moving away. And so the understanding of the mother was that if she leaves the child and then runs out, the child will be safe where she is in the seat of the vehicle. And the understanding also was that as people ran out, the attackers would follow the people out into the bushes, and that would mean the child would be safe. But it turned out that the attackers rather turned their attention at the abandoned bus, not focusing on those who were running and set fire to it. We also understand that a rapid military team had also was also coming from the Tamale direction towards the Walawale township, and luckily got to the scene where the issue was happening. So the presence of the military alone scared away the attackers who took their hill before reinforcement came in from the police and an additional military unit, and that sort of brought the whole situation under control. So basically, the mother was there, and she had the understanding that if she leaves the baby, the child in the bus, she would be safer than taking her out. And moreover, when instances of this nature happened where people are in a hurry to leave, usually there is this shoving around and all that. And so maybe the mother felt that it was the best to leave her there and leave and come back later to pick it up. It's unfortunate that.
Oh, that's even more heartbreaking, Castro. But this area where the incident took place, is it prone to attacks? What do our sources say may have influenced this attack?
Keminni, not at all. The Walwale area hasn't really been known for some of these attacks that have been so violent, that have been such that we've never seen before. But from what the security sources have been telling me, this is clearly an exploitation of the Bawku conflict, which the state has and its actors have been working so hard to address. And it does appear that whenever there are attacks within the Bawku area, we get reprisals within the Walwale area, which is the northeast region. And so security agencies are still investigating, but for the time being, they have strong suspicions that all of this that is happening is as a result of whatever that is happening within the Bawku area. If you look at the fact that, for instance, if today, this night, an attack happens within the Bawku enclave, it is expected, most likely that the next morning, there will be reprisal attacks on the Walwale highway. So the understanding is that, yes, Walwale, the other enclave, has not been very violent, except for the fact that sometimes there are robbery attacks on the way. But the security agencies strongly believe that this is as a result of the exploitation of the conflict, which, is ongoing, and state actors, including the military and police, are doing everything within means to make sure they bring it back under control.
Indeed, Kashur, now because we mentioned the dimension of the possibility of the victims of this, attack being foreigners, particularly foreigners from Burkina Faso, do we know if there have been engagements yet with the embassy or the consulates here in Accra?
Keminni, this is not the first time a foreigner has been caught up in the violence related to the Bawku conflict. A few months ago, a driver's mate and, in fact, passengers of a cargo truck were caught up, and this time it was, in fact, within the Bawku enclave. But we didn't hear anything. We didn't hear much about it as far as the question you're asking me is concerned. We didn't hear that contacts were made to the embassy whatsoever. It just died out
Burkina Bay authorities.
Authorities, yes, and it just died out like that. So we are not expecting that it continues that way, but from the look of things, it may continue that way, because if you look at how things have happened, it's only the security agencies, and that is the police and then the military, who are on the ground all the time, who are able to tell that these people are from there. But there hasn't really been external, stakeholders who have really come in to establish some of these things as to whether people who get caught up within in the conflict or the violence come from these places. And for that matter, there's a need for us to do a proper way of letting the people know that this is what is happening here.
I see, Kasha, I'm going to keep you quiet for a little bit, and that's because you mentioned how this situation may arise from the fact that people are taking advantage of the insecurity in Bawku. We know that today the Defense Minister, Dr. Mane Boama, has been making some rounds. One of those rounds was in the palace of the Otumfuo Osei II. He himself, the king of the Ashanti Kingdom, has been talking about this incident. Let's take a listen.
As we have assured, President Mahama is very committed to securing sustainable peace in Bawku and its environs. And so we've taken very critical steps. Earlier in the week, we met the members of Parliament of the affected area in the Upper East region. The Chief of the Defense Staff was also part of the meeting. As a result, he has beefed up personnel on the ground. Beyond that is also the critical aspect, which is the traditional resolution of the matter. And that is why we decided to come and meet Otumfuo. As you are all aware, President Akufo-Addo had tasked Otumfuo Osei II to address the traditional aspect of the dispute. And so, as we work on the security bit, we need to look at it in a two-track manner. The security one and also the traditional. So we came to have extensive discussions with Utumfo. Over 90% of the discussion was behind closed doors. And so we are unable to disclose the details. But Utumfo has given firm assurance that he is working on it. And indeed, even today, he is meeting sections of the dispute. And we are very confident that we'll be able to restore peace, stability, and security to the good people of Bawku so that they can go about their normal duties in peace. School children are traumatized, they are tormented, their education is being truncated. When people are ill, they are unable to access health care as they should. And that is why President Mahama is committed to ensure that
Dr. Omane there, he is a defense minister. He had that closed-door meeting with Otumfuo to the second. So just a clarification there. He then told us what the discussions with Otumfuo centered on. Listen, we'll take on this conversation to Dr. Victor Doke, who is a security consultant and lecturer at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping and Training Center. Doc, I appreciate you talking to us on this subject matter. We seem to circle back to the conflict in Bawku every now and then, but I do want you to analyze the situation. Our correspondent, who's been keenly following the situation in Bawku, posits that indeed this attack on the bus is because, or it is testament to the fact that some very rogue, horrible elements are taking advantage of the insecurity in Bawku to perpetuate acts like this. I want to hear your very informed opinion on that.
Yes, Keminni, thank you very much. I think what has been happening with regards to these ambushes and then attacks on the passenger buses has become somewhat of a trend with regards to happenings in Bawku itself. And then whatever happens in Bawku, whether cacophonous shootings or, clashes, then you expect that either you're going to have a situation where an ambush is going to happen or some elements, as you rightly described. There are some criminal elements that are taking advantage of the conflict and perpetuating these crimes. So then you expect that anytime there's something happening in the Bawku area, something is likely to happen with regards to, the stretch, that Walwali stretch and other stretches in the context of what? Attacks on passenger buses, and then innocent civilians are affected. Now, it is becoming...
Well, looks like we have lost Dr. Doke there. We'll rework the phone lines and bring Dr. Doke back. But in the meantime, I'll head back with our correspondent, Castro Senyala. Castro, a conversation or a bit of the chat we're having today, I was hoping Doc would touch on before we lost him, is the fact that we have always known, Castro, I'll come back to you. My understanding is Doc is back. Doc, finish that point you were making.
Yeah, so what I was trying to say is, now, when you look at the fact that the situation at hand now, the attacks on innocent civilians and passenger buses, it's becoming worrying. One, you have security personnel detailed, on those stretches to enforce patrols, to enforce escort duties and all of that. Yes, you wouldn't have, the personnel enforcing or assisting in patrol duties every time. But however, you would expect that stretch itself has become an area where crime is being perpetrated. So they would critically look at enforcing or enhancing security on that stretch, thereby enhancing their visibility, enhancing their intelligence, and then, enhancing the patrols so that they can be able to curb these attacks. But it's been a challenge, and we keep hearing of these attacks on innocent civilians. So what needs to be done is deployment of more personnel, and then increase the level of patrolling visibility in that area. Because we hear
but that's the point, Doc. There was a time when we had increased visibility on these sections of the highway. It would appear that our security services have dropped the ball and these things are beginning to rear their heads again.
Yes. So then what happened to the visibility that has been increased? Why did they drop that visibility increment, right? So they should go back to the drawing board and then increase the level of visibility, increase the level of personnel, enhance the intelligence, and then infiltrate the community itself. When you infiltrate the community itself, you are sure to get information as to who these persons are, because it can be done easily for them to apprehend, these criminal elements that are perpetrating these crimes, and then bring them to justice. Other than that, we'll be seeing this and we'll be experiencing this over the time, which will not order well. Then it means that our security services or the personnel are not up to the task with regards to protecting lives and property. So then, if you have progress being made in Bawku, then you are sure that whatever happens in Wali and its enclave, you are going to find some stability with regards to these attacks. But if we don't do this, and then counting on the fact that we are concentrated in one area, then we'll be missing out. So I think increased visibility, increase the presence in the communities, pick up intelligence, infiltrate the town itself, and then you will be sure to get, some information as to who these criminal elements are, because these are just works of the criminal elements that are taking advantage of the conflict.
Indeed. Just a couple of things more, and then we'll let you go, Doc. We hear from the defense minister. He says that the approach towards the Bawku incident will be in two forms, the traditional approach and the security approach as well. I'd like to believe that since the conflicts began on and off there in that part of the country, that has always been the approach. But talk to us about the significance of taking this two-pronged approach, if it works at all.
Yeah, so first of all, traditional. Now, with regards to traditional, the involvement of the Otumfuo, the Asante makes it a difference now. Now, before, there was some level of traditional mechanism with regards to traditional conflict resolution. Now, we had the traditional committee, the Bawku Inter-Ethnic Committee, comprising of the various ethnic groups that have formed the committee. And then you have the National Peace Council and then the civil society, Belemusa Development Agency, who is the peace building facilitator for the BIEPC, the Bawku Inter-Ethnic Peace Committee. Now, that traditional institution, the BIEPC, was established for them to look at traditional ways, because they themselves understand, they are the conflict actors and understand the dynamics in the conflict and can propose solutions. Then the builder will just facilitate those discussions together with the National Peace Council and then formulate policies out of them, and then for the two sides to agree. So then you heard in the past about one acrostic ceremony that was supposed to be performed. There were, progress made with regards to burying and performing rites, but then one party opted out because they stated that ceremony was not part of their religion. It is new to them, and they will not progress. And that process, that traditional, conflict resolution mechanism stalled till now. What has been done? Maybe stakeholders can go back to that initiative and then inquire from the other side what kind of traditional mechanism is suitable for you, for us to progress with. That aside, we have the eminent chief coming in. With regards to his engagements with the two conflict actors, now we need to be cautious in the sense that the king must have every side readily available to come to the negotiation table. We heard a minister say the king has already met with the faction. Now, the willingness of these two actors to come and meet the king is another issue altogether. the interests, the needs, and the wants of these two actors have to be what? Considered. If it is not, then the king may not make progress with regards to what? Addressing the conflict. So, from my opinion, there has been a traditional aspect with regards to conflict resolution that has been established before. We can go back to it and find ways to add, review it, and then with what the eminent chief is going to do, you are sure to have some progress. Look at all these problematic factors, address them, and then now you can be assured that you're going to get, somewhere. With the security aspect, it's already there.
Doc, just quickly, I want to find out from you, could we as a country be in denial that this incident in particular and many others that may have happened on that same stretch, unexplained, still cold cases, may be activities of extremist groups? But, as a country, we are in denial of that.
Keminni, come again. The line is not
yes, I was saying that looking at this incident and the many others that have happened along that stretch, they have been unexplained, they are cold cases. Could we as a country be in denial that these incidents may be the result of activities of extremist groups in our country?
Well, Keminni, we haven't gotten there yet with regards to extremism infiltrating and enforcing.
Isn't that the problem? Because we are not looking there. Isn't that the problem? That we are not paying attention to that?
Yes. So now, to tackle this problem, that is why I suggested that infiltrate that particular area, and then you get to understand the dynamics. You get information as to whether it is activities of what? Armed groups or criminal elements that are taking advantage. Until then, I don't think we can, say that they are works of extremists. Now, extremists operate in certain dynamics, okay? This is one of them. But then you're sure that you don't have a conflict existing, and anytime there is, violence in one area, you're sure to have what? Reprisal attacks and this kind of forms. Because when you analyze the situation very well, you'll get to understand that these incidents are a form of what? Reprisal attacks from some groups, okay, that have come together and
but Doc, that's the thing. Let's not forget that our security forces believe that the occupants of this bus were Burkina Base. And so, if you look at it, they really do not have a stake in the Bawku incident or the conflict in Bawku at this time.
If that has been established, that the occupants were Burkina Base, it could be because of various reasons why you could have Burkina Base in the past. Okay? What are the reasons? It could be migration. It could be trade purposes. Don't forget that we have some section of Burkina Base that have crossed over and are seeking refuge in the northern part of Ghana. It could be for all these reasons that have been mentioned. So if we have not established that fact, then I think concluding on the basis that it could be activities of armed groups, then we'll be rushing to conclude, and that will not be good.
Very well, Doc.
We need to do.
We need to do much more work. We'll leave our conversation here. I appreciate you talking to us. Castro, I'll quickly wrap up with you. I want to find out from you how residents are responding to this latest incident quickly, and then we'll wrap up on this.
Right, Keminni, residents have really been expressing a lot of shock, but to many of them, looking at the trajectory of the conflict, they are not surprised at all. But then the interesting aspect of it all is that the calls continue to increase, especially with regards to patrols from the security agencies. The calls are that Bawku, Boga, Pumampong Road, and that of Bawku, Boga, Walwale, Tamale roads should be beefed up adequately with men of the armed forces and the police service to ensure that travelers are able to travel on both highways freely without any issues whatsoever.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for talking to us. Castro Senyala, Upper East Region correspondent, Dr. Victor Doke, security analyst. He's also a lecturer at the KA IPTC. Let's move on to some other matters now. Rescind the directive or we go on strike. Nurses and midwives back at government over decision to fire public sector workers employed after December 7th. Tonight, could a meeting with the health minister save the day? Let's find out. Issue. But what you may not know is that the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association has issued a notice of a nationwide strike if the government proceeds with this decision to sack recruits into the public service. According to the leadership of the association, the directive will affect over 5,000 nurses and midwives in the public sector and could have a negative impact on healthcare delivery in this country. So these nurses and midwives who were part of the 2020 and 2021 batches recruited by the previous government are now hitting back at the government threatening, to go on strike. Where did this begin? This began with the Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah, issuing a statement announcing the revocation of all appointments and recruitments made into the public service after December 7, 2024. As expected, the directive sparked debate and courted the wrath of labor, especially those employed in the health sector. Here's what we know so far of how things have played out. But before then, I'll show you what's on the screen, which reads, consistent with government pronouncement in relation to near end of tenure, appointments and recruitments, I wish to bring to your attention that all appointments and recruitments made in the public services of Ghana after 7 December 2024 are not in compliance with established good governance practices and principles. Accordingly, all heads of government institutions are hereby requested to take the necessary steps to annul any such appointments or recruitments and submit a comprehensive report on the actions taken to this office by 17 February. That's come Monday, 17 February 2025. Your cooperation in this matter is highly appreciated. That is from the Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah. Now, I was telling you what we know so far of how things have played out. We know that the leadership of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, GRNMA, dear Lord, has engaged the Minister of Health, Kwabena Minta Akando, on this matter. However, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service has also issued a statement instructing health institutions to begin dismissing newly recruited nurses and midwives before investigations are conducted. The president of the Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, Perpetual Forian Pofo, has described the move as unfair. Let's take a listen.
It's unfair, and that should not happen. And therefore, we are calling on the government, on our mother ministry, which is the Ministry of Health, and on the largest agency within the health service, which is the Ghana Health Service, to please rescind their decisions in relation to our nurses and midwives, because we need them there. The services they are providing is essential, and this is not the time for us to be suspending people. It has come as a surprise that the Director General is indicating that all those who did not find themselves on the payroll as at January 2025 should be suspended. And this directive, we want to believe, is immediate. And we are going to see divisional directors and regional health directors putting into force this directive. And we are saying that if they go ahead and suspend, we will have no choice but to stand in solidarity with our colleagues. We will not hesitate to embark on a series of actions, industrial actions, that we know will definitely affect the work that we are doing. And therefore, we are humbly requesting all those that have the power to do the needful, that they should rescind their decision, they should make the directives clear and exempt those that need to be exempted. And in our case, we think nurses and midwives should be allowed to stay at post and do their work.
Perpetual for Riampo there. Many of you have been sharing your thoughts about this. If we have time, I'll read a couple of your comments. I hope you're commenting with the hashtag Ghana Tonight so we see them as quickly as possible. But we've been talking to Austin Game. Well, we're joined by Austin Game, who is a labor expert on this development we seem to experience at the change of government. Good evening, Mr. Game. Thank you so much for talking to us tonight. Well, I'll quickly move on. Help us know how you are processing the stance of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, who are now threatening a series of industrial action if the Chief of Staff's directive for the revocation of their contracts or employment, so to speak, is not properly clarified to exclude their members. Talk to me about that.
Well, thank you so much. I think that let me first declare that I work for the nurses in many ways as one of their lead person when it comes to negotiating their conditions of service. I heard the comments on various networks, including yours, on my way from the Eastern region today. And I must indicate that the labor law that we operate with is very, very clear. It's unambiguous. The only authorized body or person to employ in this country in any employment, be it public or private, is the employer. The one that have been sanctioned by an authorized body, like Ghana government is represented by the president and his assigns. So they are legitimately clothed to employ under Section 8A of the Labor Act. They are to assign people what to do and what not to do. Now, also as a practice, from purely a professional human resource point of view, the HR team and all management teams are enjoined to ensure that they stay within the allowable optimum level for which they have been allowed to employ. You cannot employ beyond that. That is one. Two, it's also clear that in Ghana, we entered into a program that enabled us to access funding. And it has been agreed as a principle that we cannot overemploy. At the moment, the population in the public sector is over and above what is required. That notwithstanding, it was agreed, among other things, that those in the essential services and security agencies, so long as they sought to employ and they have clearance from the Ministry of Finance that looks after the exchequer of the country, then they are free to employ. Unfortunately, that appears not to be the case in this case. And so it is not appropriate for anyone to say that they are forcing the employer to employ its members and so forth and so on. I think they know my stand very well. I would always support anything that is correct and appropriate. But if it's inappropriate, as an impartial mediator and a practitioner, I cannot support it. So I think that it's inappropriate to be calling on people to go on strike because people have been either forcibly employed and these have been brought home to them during the transition period. And I think that they will have to find other ways of engaging in dialogue as they have been severally taught, and not to engage in the traditional adversarial approach to these kind of things. The financial health of this nation is bleeding ceaselessly. And therefore, and that is what people want to call the fiscal space. if they have to continue this way, this country will bleed to death. Fortunately, they are nurses, so they understand the language. This country will bleed to death. So I think that it is wrong for anybody to force and pressurize the government, not only the nurses, whosoever has that mentality. If you force the government to employ people beyond what is allowed by the exchequer, where are we going to get the money from? This is one of the countries in the entire world that presently we are on domestic exchange program. That is what we are doing now. And we owe everybody right, left, center. And so we have to give the government opportunity to reset the country. I don't have the pleasure of time to meddle into the partisan politics of Ghana, but we must talk about politics, which means making proper decision for and on behalf of people. And to be wrong for the government of Ghana to make such a terrible decision by overly employing people. The optimum level that is allowed can be employed. And those who have been given clearance because of the sensitivity of their job, such as nurses and security people already long before, and pressurizing them and dumping people onto the state to pay is wrong. And indeed, I think they will have to desist from that.
Indeed. I mean, you say this is inappropriate. As a government or as a people, we cannot overemploy. But we also see the minority in parliament piling pressure on the government. It's on the same path, justifying the employment that had taken place within that period. Do they have a case?
Well, I'm not too sure whether they know very well. I cannot pretend that they are not smart enough to know that they have choked the system, perhaps deliberately, to make life unbearable for the government, so that having employed, I know places, I work for a number of companies as consultant, and I can tell you, I know places where one company employed over 200 people, some over 70 people, and so forth and so on. Some have attached human face to the process as demanded by the office of the president through the chief of staff, and those people have gone home. Now they can petition. Some people who have left can say they have been employed genuinely X number of years. If it's so, you are not affected. But all those, that's why we should be careful. We all know that if you are employed, you are on probation for 6 months. And none of them has crossed that red line. And therefore, I think that we should be patient enough. Are we saying that the whole 14-point-something people who are 9% that are unemployed in this country, they should all be employed by the state? I don't think that is what they meant. I don't think that is what they meant. And if they don't understand what it takes to be talking about the employing people based upon the maximum level that the company can take, the state is like a company. They cannot overly employ. Why haven't they employed all those people 8 years ago, 7 years ago, 5 years ago? And it is 2 weeks and 3 months to the time of going that they have to impose all these people on the state.
Indeed. We'll leave our conversation here. I appreciate you talking to us. Thank you so much. Austin Game is a labor consultant and a former Ghanaian politician. Well, now, you're live on Ghana Tonight. We'll take a very fast break, and perhaps only one, as we bring you the night's biggest stories. Don't go away.
You know, 1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, One bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply
Step up with DSTV and we'll show up by giving you more incredible entertainment.
We're going to have a little fun.
Upgrade your subscription between the 13th of January and the 31st of March and get an even higher package for a whole month on us.
Buckle up, here we go.
There's nothing better than putting a little bit in but getting a lot out.
Time to boost some office morale.
Incredible!
If you want to build a future, you gotta know what you want.
Step up and we'll show up on your home of entertainment, DSTV.
Through every step of life's unpredictable journey, every moment counts. That's why you need a partner you can always trust for solutions, so you can be rest assured. Having impacted over 200,000 lives, processed over 4.2 million claims, partnered with over 400 corporations, paid out over 836 million Ghana cedis in claims, contracted over 1,600 healthcare facilities nationwide, and pioneered several innovations like free medicine delivery, an interactive mobile app, and more. You'll be surprised what can be accomplished in 20 years. We're part of the Nationwide family. Are you? Nationwide Medical Insurance, 20 years of leading the way.
Welcome back. You're still live on Ghana Tonight. Still to come. NPP demands a new venue 2 days clear for rerun of Council of State elections in the Ashanti region. Let's find out why. The NPP Ashanti caucus in Parliament is calling for a change in the venue for the rerun of the Council of State elections in that region, following violent disruptions during the initial poll. The vote in the Ashanti regional representative of the council was halted after thugs invaded the center and disrupted the process on Tuesday, February 11th. This forced the Electoral Commission to reschedule the election to Monday, February 17th. But campaign team for one of the key contenders is resisting the choice of venue for the rerun. The team claims the regional representative, let's see all of it, the regional coordinating council is not a safe and secure location for the rerun. The same is also seen in Parliament. When speaking on behalf of the Ashanti caucus in Parliament, the NPP Ashanti caucus in Parliament, Asante Mampo MP Kweku Amprechum Sapong insisted that the rerun be held at the Central Police Station. Take a look.
The Ashanti caucus is outraged by the decision to hold the Ashanti regional representative to the Council of State election at a venue already tainted by chaos and lawlessness. We refuse to allow the democratic process in our region to be compromised any further. We have officially dispatched a letter to the Electoral Commission demanding an immediate change of the venue to the Central Police Station. The first one that took place was held at the Regional Coordinating Council, and you are all aware of the chaos, the snatching of ballot boxes, macho men getting involved, and therefore the process could not be completed successfully. A venue under the jurisdiction of a security apparatus that have already failed is unacceptable and must be replaced without delay. We will hold the current security leadership, specifically the Inspector General of Police and the Chairman of the Regional Security Council, fully accountable for any further disruptions. We have gathered intelligence also that certain assemblies are becoming heated with the factions attempting to alter the representatives on the electoral roll. That is, now they are trying to influence or make changes to the composition of the district assemblies. Moreover, reports indicate that today, coordinating directors have been instructed to swear in new appointed assembly members to render them eligible to vote. Let us be crystal clear that any attempt to manipulate or destroy the sanctity of our electoral process will be met with unyielding resistance. We will resist every effort to subvert our democracy.
Oh, Asante Mampo MP there. Like we told you, the party in the Ashanti region holds the same opinion. But let's touch base with our correspondent, Ibrahim Abubakar, who's been following this story. Ibrahim, talk to us a bit more about why the need for a new venue. What are their issues with the RECSEC venue, the coordinating council venue? Yes.
Well, Keminni, concerns of security has been dominating since the incident happened. That was on Tuesday during the election. In fact, not only on the camp of the MPP, because we do know that this election shouldn't have been partisan. We are just electing someone who will represent the region at the Council of State as a member. So ideally, it shouldn't have been partisan, but like we've all seen, it's been deeply political, because during the election, you find executives of the NDC supporting their preferred candidate, who is an NDC person, and also members of the MPP supporting their preferred candidate. Now, many people are calling for a change in venue because, one, even though the Regional Coordinating Council is a security zone, and there was a security breach, and we saw these macho men coming to the venue to pick ballot boxes and destroy ballots, even though there were a number of police personnel there, but they were helpless. That's how come people are calling for change. Now, the second call is that for other candidates, in an event the venue is retained, then they want to see enhanced security, because in Tuesday's election, even though we had over between 50 to 100 police personnel manning the process, majority, I would say 98 to 99% of them were unarmed. So when the disturbances broke, most of them also even had to run for their lives. So this time around, they want an enhanced security. If there need be, people are even calling for the deployment of the military there, so that law and order will be maintained and the process will be done smoothly. But for the camp of Nana Nkansa Boadu, you know, this election, there are two people who are leading. In fact, three of them. Two are sympathizers of the MPP. We have Nana Nkansa Boadu, who is a member of Council of Elders in the MPP and also a financier to the party. We have Rose Hamilton, who is also a financier to the New Patriotic Party. Well. Then we have Ya Obimpe, who is the former chairman of the NDC. So, like I said, politics
Ibrahim, are there signs that the venue could be changed, because we have only this weekend till the election?
Well, for now, we've not had any official communication. For the EC, they are hoping that there will be enhanced security. As we speak, there has been no official communication whether the venue will be changed or not. But with the course, we are hoping to see what will happen tomorrow or possibly by Sunday, because the election is just on Monday.
Very well, Ibrahim, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti region correspondent. He's been bringing out that story about how the NPP in the Ashanti region, by extension, the NPP Ashanti caucus in Parliament, also demanding a change in venue for the upcoming rerun of the Council of State elections in that region. Now, that region is not the only outstanding. Northeast is another place to hold this election on February 17th, come Monday. Christopher Mwako is our man there. He's joining us with a bit more details on this one. How is this shaping up, Christopher?
Yes, so Keminni, I must say that expectations are high ahead of Monday's rerun of the Council of State election in the North East region. The two candidates who are going to appear on the ballot paper have intensified their campaigns. They are meeting with assembly members and ensuring that they put finishing touches to their engagements with them, making a whole lot of lofty promises to them, because each of them wants to be elected as the regional representative on the Council of State. And so every body who is a supporter, sympathizer of any or either of the two candidates have been moving around the 6 constituencies that these delegates will be coming from. The Northeast region, as we do know, is made up of 6 administrative districts, and so 12 delegates are expected to vote in Monday's rerun.
I see. And what's the arrangement for security there as well?
Yeah, so because the previous election did not see any form of misunderstanding that should call for more security deployment, so far the security operatives have indicated that everything is under control, and that they are only waiting for Monday so that they will see how the elections will go. But Keminni, one thing we are foreseeing is that we are likely to see another tie in this Monday's election again, because politics has come to play in this particular election, and so there's a possibility of another tie, and we don't know what the EC, the decision they will take, whether they are going to reschedule the election, should they be a tie, or they're just going to take it that very day and continue with the process.
Well, Christopher, another tie will be fascinating, so to speak.
Yes, of course, Kevin.
But thank you so much for talking to us. Looks like we've kept you outside, from the comfort of your room for a very long time. I can't help but see how much you're sweating. But thank you so much for talking to us. Christopher Mwako is a Northeast region correspondent. I wanted to show you those who have already been elected in certain regions. Unfortunately, I'm out of time and we have to go. I hope to see you same time next week here on Ghana Tonight. In the meantime, remember, there's only one key point, and it happens 7 a.m. on Saturday here on TV3. Alfred Okanse, his team of panelists, will be here with him. They'll dig deep into the issue of the OSP, as we have a representative from the OSP's or the Office of the Special Prosecutor joining the conversation very early in the morning. There's only one key point, and it's live on TV3. Also, join me at 2 p.m. for Hot Issues. I sit with the Energy and Green Transition Minister. We talk all things energy and whether or not your fuel cost will come down or your electricity will go off anytime soon. You want to find out 2 p.m. Hot Issues on Sunday. I'm Keminni Amanor. Have a pleasant weekend. Bye-bye.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.